This is my neighbor's tree. It's one of the oldest trees in my neighborhood. Every morning when I get up, I see this tree. For me, it is a metaphor for life, a metaphor for growing old. My neighbor, Miss Rose, is 94. As far as I know, she's the oldest person in my neighborhood. I am in my 40s, and a couple years ago I decided to go back to school and complete my degree. I attend a state school. It's the kind of school you hear about. Political correctness is not just the standard, it's the rule. But that's okay, I'm an old punk rocker, and political correctness is my rule too. Being a student in his 40s at a school where the average student's age is the early 20s, I sometimes feel older than I am. When I walk through campus, I see students hanging out on the quad. Many of them have dogs. Most of these dogs are puppies. Other students stand around passing out flyers. They are looking for new members for some club or other, or they are passing out information about Bernie Sanders or why one should be a vegan. Most times, the students passing out flyers ignore me. If I want a flyer, I have to ask. Being twice the age of the average student, I found it hard to make friends at first, but now I have a small group of genuine friends that don't care about my age. I live on the other side of town in an older neighborhood. The houses in my neighborhood were built in the 30s and 40s. The average resident's age is late 60s, early 70s. When I come home tired and worn out from school, feeling like a grandpa after spending the day with students half my age, Miss Rose comes out and yells at me. When she yells at me, she does it in good nature. She always has a smile on her face. She will chastise me for not weeding my garden or forgetting to empty my mailbox. I like it because when she yells at me, it makes me feel like I'm a little kid. Being that she's twice my age, that is probably the way she sees me, a little kid. Summers are slower in my college town. I still take classes, but I find I have more free time. During the summers, I foster dogs. A local shelter is good at matching dogs to new owners and foster parents like me. This shelter is an open admission shelter, not a no-kill shelter. They accept, and I quote, all pets regardless of age, health, color, breed, treatment, and adoptability. They try to save them all, but each year they have to euthanize around 40 could-be pets. Last year, my family came to visit me. My sister commented on the tree. She said it's too old, it's dying. I tried to look it up. Do trees die of old age? One biologist says yes, the other says no. We all must agree that everything living must die. And I must admit, that tree is the last to bloom in the spring and the first to lose its leaves in the fall. Last year when my family came to visit, we went to a local Italian restaurant. My dad is in his mid-70s, but is still mentally sharp and in relatively good physical condition. A few days before my family's visit, my dad had an operation on his legs. He had to have some varicose veins collapsed. He was unshaven and was wearing loose-fitting sweatpants that wouldn't rub up against the new scars on his legs. He was temporarily using a cane until the wounds could heal. He walked to our table slow and deliberate because each step caused him pain. Our waitress was a young, pretty college-aged girl. She walked up to our table, saw my dad, and then looked at my sister and me. What's wrong with him? She was being polite, and her voice had a tone of genuine concern. Still, her question disturbed my sister and me. I looked at the waitress and said, ask him yourself. He told her about being a 25-year cancer survivor, that he had to have the lymph nodes in his legs removed, how his veins didn't work properly because of the missing lymph nodes, and now he had to have this kind of routine surgery once or twice a year. It was easy to see the look of surprise on the waitress's face when she saw how articulate he was and how much energy my dad possessed. Miss Rose has glaucoma. She sold her 1985 Plymouth Reliant last month. She doesn't yell at me as much anymore. Instead, when we talk, she tells me about her doctor visits and how her family came to visit her. When they came to visit, they took a tour at the local retirement center. She told me how nice it was, but she was determined to die at home. She told me of the argument that she had with her kids. Miss Rose has a strong personality. She prevailed. She's still living at home. At the start of fall semester, when it's still warm enough to sit on the quad, there will be hundreds of students, many with new puppies, enjoying the last bastions of warmth before the change of season. I will stop and watch the students playing with their new puppies. I know that one of those puppies will be the dog that I foster next summer or the summer after. I will walk through campus and the students handing out flyers will ignore me. If I want a flyer, I will ask, but I wish they would adopt adult dogs. When I get home, I will look at the tree and wonder which will last longer, it or Miss Rose.